Hey everybody, it's Jeff, and here's a quick update on what I did today on Workbench, where I stream my open source innovation work. I wanted to build a Go client to interact with OBS, the tool of choice for streamers. You can see here that I use. There's basically a plugin that gives OBS a WebSocket server that lets you remotely control it. And basically just using JSON messages. So the plugin project also provides a JSON schema that's actually used to generate the documentation, which would obviously come in handy to generate Go types. But before generating anything, I wanted to make a basic client that works with maps. But it took 45 minutes to get an OBS instant running with the plugin because I didn't think until I started streaming that I'd probably have to restart OBS, which I was using to stream. And so I did get a second instance running that didn't happen to load the plugin. So I was about to go down the rabbit hole of getting OBS to run inside Docker and then access it over X11. But luckily Josh, a regular viewer, suggested running it on another machine, and I did have a Windows machine here, so I just installed it there and accessed it over remote desktop. So I spent some time then just trying to get it working via an existing client. So there's a Python client. There's actually two Python clients. This one was with async.io, which is a pain to use. So using this library, which also took a while because it's not a very good library and I had to fix some stuff. But eventually I got it to give me the list of scenes and stuff like that, so that meant it worked. I could connect to my other machine. So I moved on to starting the Go client. I started with a Go demo app that basically did the same thing. And originally I just did everything sort of by hand, manually connecting with WebSocket. Doing it's sort of just complicated enough to be annoying auth challenge, and eventually got it to return the same results. And then I refactored it into a client library, which then let me refactor this into this really short thing. So here's the library here. It tracks message IDs that go out and routes messages that come in because it's going to get messages that are either events or responses to requests. So it does some simple routing here, and when you make a request, it just listens on a channel. And so all that works. And so the next step would be to maybe generate types. So that I'm not working with maps, but we'll see. I might end up doing that a little bit later because this is already useful. So I might just start using this. So we'll see what I'm going to be using that for in the next week or so. Another totally unrelated thing that I did earlier in the day off the stream was understanding macOS app bundles, plugins, and ways to package plugins with JXA script bundles. Let's see, I don't think I have it open. We can actually demo this real quick just to make sure that it works. There's all our scenes. We have a foobar scene, current scene, foobar. It actually has some notifications when WebSocket connections connect and stuff like that. And then as you change scenes, right, you can get different events. So that works. That's super cool. And so that library is in prototypes. Yeah, it'll have types eventually. But anyway, what I was saying was earlier today, I spent maybe too much time trying to do... so before I was able to make you know, scripts that I can just call and you know, like regular shell scripts or whatever, right? And they execute in OSA, JavaScript, and you can build an application. That's how all this stuff works. But I wanted to do, so there's this concept called plugins, which are basically bundles within a bundle that package another binary that represents a dynamic library that's loaded into some operating system process. And in this case, there is actually the doc process. And the doc process has this extra process that's also running, and it'll actually, whenever you try and add an application to the doc, before it's even running, it will go and check its bundle to see if it has a doc tile plugin, and if it does, it will dynamically load it into extra, and that's how you can define kind of cool stuff like this, or what else isn't running, like new message, so customize the menu or add badges and stuff like that without the process even running. So that's pretty cool, and I got that working, but I couldn't get it to work in a case where you had a script, right? Because when you make a script, it will create an app where the binary is applet, and I don't know where applet comes from or what it does or whatever, but that's the entry point that then runs the equivalent of OSA script in your compiled script. But for some reason, the bundle defining a plugin, when it runs that, would not work. So I ended up figured out that if I created a simple kind of Objective-C wrapper that would then just exec into the actual applet, for some reason, then it will load the plugin. And so this felt like a really clean solution. I just had to, the only weird thing though is that then if you have you know, your executable, the process is going to be running with the name of the executable, and if the executable is different from applet, then it doesn't load this resource file, which then asks, does this thing, AppleScript and other scripts will say, do you want to run this script? Hit run, otherwise hit quit. And so doing this naming thing, make sure that it uses this resource so that it doesn't prompt. It's a weird dialog to prompt, maybe a security thing or something. But anyway, so that's cool. Now I can write JXA scripts in JavaScript or whatever, package them as a bundle that also have an extension that defines extra doc stuff. The problem is it's very unlikely I'll figure out a way to be able to define that in JavaScript or any OSA script without doing some of my RPC magic, which I don't necessarily want to do here. But that's okay. We can find, you know, some way to communicate between the two, maybe just JSON export or something. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to basically be trying to make a programmable doc icons. So now I have kind of enough information to get that going. Anyway, so that's another future project. Again, if you want to follow along, just subscribe, and we'll see what I'm doing later this week and next week. So that's it. Kind of a long update, but I did a lot of things today. So thanks for watching.